As you can see, the beginning of the film, you have your two of your main characters, Sement and what's that boy's name again? Tariiq. Yeah, I do, you know. You look at the two of them, and obviously Sement has, that's not her name in the movie, of course, but she has, you know, they both have great affection for one another, but she's looking to move forward with the relationship, you know, or at least making plans to move forward within a relationship. And him, he's a little tentative about it. You know, not sure why at this point, but he's definitely a little standoffish about even having a conversation. The first thing I want to get into, and we're talking about the fear of commitment at this point, when is it too soon to begin discussing the seriousness of a relationship? You know, when you've been seeing somebody for a little while, I'm not talking about your first date, I'm talking about you've actually been involved with the person for a period of time. But how soon is too soon to even begin considering or having a discussion about where a particular relationship is going? And when I say that, I'm talking about, like, you know, going towards marriage. How soon is too soon? Or is it ever too soon? Can you just, you know, meet somebody today and say, hey, you know what? We should make this happen. Yeah, just like that. Ms. Jane?
Well, I was married to someone, and I think the first marriage, I rushed into it too quickly. And I didn't know he was an alcoholic, so you know that didn't last too long. The second marriage, we courted for a while. And I don't think, I think if someone loves someone and someone else thinks they might love someone, they should show respect to each other and take their time, because if love is really there between the two of them, they do not have to rush. So sooner or later, it's going to be that magic moment when they say to each other, I do. And when they do, it's going to last. And sometimes marriages are good, and sometimes people have health come up in the marriage that isn't good. But if they really love the person, they're going to remain faithful to that person regardless, because that's what pure love is. And there ain't no getting around it, no patty caking, running around on each other or anything like that. Because nobody can lure somebody to be infidel if they're a Christian. They base whom they choose as a Christian. I don't think they're going to go down any rocky trails, and if they're not alcoholics or drug addicts also. So you're looking for a person, you know, all these qualities, and you can also ask the Lord to advise you. That's all.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. James. And she brought up a really good point. We'll get to you in a second. She brought up a really good point. The whole idea that a lot of times we rush into things a little bit too quickly. Okay, you've been seeing somebody, in this case, 4 months, and now all of a sudden you're ready to start having that conversation about where this relationship is going. You know, is that even necessary most of the time? And why is it that we even bother rushing at that point? But we'll get into that in a second. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you, darling.
Well, you know, I want to say to everybody, male, female, watch your mate. Because you're a wonderful person, God has blessed you with a beautiful body. Don't let anybody take advantage of that. When God loves you, that means He loves you. Regardless of your situation, you can't make a person love you if they don't love you. So in other words, what you do is just say, well, I thank you, anything I can do for you, I love you with that. Because you can't judge a person. You know, you might be in a relationship that maybe nobody understands. So I think it's time for you to realize that that person has left you. It's like death. You know, when a person dies, I lost my husband. But we lost when we were married. See, that's a different situation. I had my daughter, we were married, and I had a beautiful wedding gown. I had a wonderful wedding. But see, you can't judge another person. Only thing you can do is just, you know, admit what you did. And I think that's a wonderful thing that you just said. But you know, don't judge everybody else.
All right, thank you very much. Anybody else? The question was, when is it too soon to start talking about being in a serious relationship, or the seriousness of a relationship? When is it too soon? I mean, can we really base it on time? Do we base it on feelings?
No.
You know, I mean, I guess it even goes back to the whole concept of courtship, which Ms. Jane just talked about.
Can I interrupt that?
Hold on, one second. Sit down for a second. We'll come back around to you.
So
I'm gonna get my people to share too. We'll give everybody a chance. But you know, how do we even base when the time is right? Do we base it off of feelings? Do we base it off of actual time? That whole concept. Go ahead.
All right, hi everyone. I think it is based on time. You need to get the chance to know the person. 6 months is a little bit too soon. However, everybody is different. You might think 6 months is okay, whereas for myself, I think I can't see myself going to the next level with the next individual after a year. I'll be fine due to other, situations that I've been in. So usually a year, you get to know the person, you see at least some of their true colors, and then you can make that decision if that person is the right one or not. I mean, everybody is different, so I guess it's based on basically what's going on in the relationship between the two people.
All right, so we got a year at this point, a year, and also just where the relationship is at that point with those two individuals. What else?
May I say something? Let her say
I don't think that it's a matter of time per se. I think it's first you have to find yourself as an individual, because you can jump into a relationship with somebody and have not spent 30 minutes alone by yourself to understand who you are as a person, and then latch onto an identity that's not even your own. So I think you first find yourself as a person, know what you like, know what you don't like, and then begin to explore another individual that you're compatible with. So then you can, work together and complement yourself. So it's not like a leeching relationship. You're not an overly needy individual, and you complement each other instead of being a supplementary relationship.
But doesn't that take time?
Yeah, it takes time.
Yeah, it takes a bit of time.
But you need to be by yourself first before you jump into something.
But the thing about that is, like you said, you have to recognize, what's going on. Now, a lot of times when people actually get into these relationships really, really quickly, is it because of other reasons? Is it because they're just looking to be in a relationship, or are they looking to be in a relationship with that person? Are they trying to lock that person down? And one thing I found a lot of times is that, it's not really about the other person, it's about your own desires. And recognizing, okay, you don't want to be by yourself. You want to be in a relationship. So once you do, okay, all right, we'll get to that in a second. Let me just finish this right here. When you recognize, that somebody else isn't really focusing so much on you, knowing that they want to be in a relationship, sometimes it is about what you guys have together. Many times what you find, especially when it's that quick, that they just want to be in a relationship. They want to be with somebody, and no matter how much time it takes, it's not always about the other person. But the thing is, in time, if you allow things to develop in time, you'll recognize whether or not you really want to be with that person, as opposed to, just wanting to be in a relationship. A lot of times people ask me, I'm 33, no kids, not married, single, very much so right now. But thank you, sister. But people always ask me, well, do you want to have kids? And I tell them, I don't know. And the reason why I tell them I don't know is because I haven't met someone that I want to pursue that part of my life with. I don't want to just have kids for the sake of having kids. But you have people all the time who say, yes, I want to have children. Why do you want to have children? Well, I just think I make a good parent. Well, that's not a good reason to have kids. There's so much more that you have to put behind that. And the same thing goes for relationships. Do you want to be married? Well, you know what? I haven't met the person I want to be with like that, so I can't say whether or not I want to be married. So you have to think about whether or not you're really doing this because you just want to be in it, or you're doing this because of the person that you're actually involved with.
Thank you so much. That's beautiful, baby.
I forgot to mention one thing. Also, I think it's important that each person meets the family. Because sometimes what kind of family that person comes from will help you make a very valuable decision on your life. I mean, you can be in love and hot in the bed together before you get married, which my second husband and I did after a while, not right away, because we respected each other and we courted a while for that to happen. But I think you should meet the parents And that will show you really what kind of person that they're raised, what kind of background they're raised, because I think that's important in your decision too. I mean, I might sound very corny and old-fashioned, but I think that is important. That's all I wanted to say.
You know what? You know what? I remember a few years ago, I actually wrote this story where these two guys are talking about this man's particular, woman, and how much he was in love with her. But once he, it takes place in the future when, before you get married, you have to have, now you go for blood tests. Well, in the, can I do that a little bit later? Can we? All right, let's just stay on topic here. And at that point, what they're doing is they were doing genetics testing. And they're doing genetics testing to find out what, you have within your bloodline, going to the point that Ms. Jane was making. You want to know what's going on in somebody else's family because you have all different types of conditions. Say, particularly with black families, you have sickle cell. Now, if you both have sickle cell in your bloodlines, even though you don't have it, if you both combine, your child has a higher chance of getting that. Or if it's diabetes, or if it's schizophrenia, or if it's, there's so many different things that are passed down from generation to generation within families that you might not actually have yourself, but you do have to be cautious of the people within that family who may have it and may pass it on to your actual children. So you do need to get to know the family as well as, just that person in general. But let's stay on topic here. Let's talk about, the actual commitment issue. Why do we even have these major fears? Or why do people that you dealt with, or people that you know of, have these fears of commitment? And I'm going to leave it right there. I don't want to try and guide anybody, but what is it? What's behind the fears that people have of commitment itself?
I've come across some guys that inform me that the reason they're afraid of commitment is because they don't want to limit their options. They still want to go out there and have fun, but they want to have me at home, to know where it's safe and all. But what woman in their right mind will be content with that, sitting at home, knowing that their man is going out there doing whatever? And vice versa, women do the same. However, it's basically that, it's basically they don't want to miss out until they get to a certain age where they feel like, okay, I played the field, I'm ready to settle down.
All right, that's one issue. Definitely want to play the field. What's another one?
First of all, I want to answer your question. First of all, if you're a good woman, and a man is going to be a man, a woman's going to be a woman, the basic part of this is, you watch your body. A rubber's not going to take away HIV. A rubber's not going to take away if your man fell in love with another woman. That is, because it's something that you might not have been doing at home. But a man's going to be a man, and a woman's going to be a woman. So if you know this, what you just said, then you know what you do. You just take good care of yourself. Because obviously, this ain't no Jerry Springer show. This ain't no time for you to think. For a man and a woman, you get God's gift to this earth. Your mama and daddy made you here. So that goes for men just as well. I know a friend of mine, he hadn't had sex in a long time. I told him, you know what, that's the best thing in the world. You know why? Because you're not getting no disease. Because you don't know who screws who these days. So ain't nobody better than nobody else. So they can complete that with a sentence like this: God loves you, so do I. And cut out the junk.
All righty. Oh, back here? Okay. Here we go. Don't be shy.
How you doing? This is my first time here. I think I'm picking up on the subject. Talking about love and relationship or commitment. Well, I think one of the reasons why people are fearful of commitment is because it's based on a person's individual happiness. If a person is not individually happy with who he is or who or she is, then that person will not be able to be that happiness or that feeling of happiness will not spill out into that relationship. So once that person knows who he is, or meaning professional-wise, what he does for a living, he accomplishes his goals in life. He's working on his dreams and stuff like that. And once he's truly happy in who he is and where he is in life and where he's going, then he is able to share that piece of his life with a significant other. So that's one of them. That's what I think.
Thank you. But also, what about people's experiences? How much does your experience play into how fearful you may be of a commitment? You might have been in a relationship for a long period of time, wasn't fearful of a commitment at that point, but the next relationship you get into, because of what happened to the other one, within the other one, now all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, you know what? I don't know if I want to be in a relationship that quickly. So that might also play into it. But go ahead, Sam.
Well, I'd like to say one thing. All the things we talked about, you ask the Lord for the answer for commitment. The Lord will tell you what to do, even if you don't know yourself. And of course, you want a person's in good health, naturally. You don't want a drug addict, you don't want an alcoholic, you don't want someone that's crazy, some nut out here that wants to ride everybody and get in their hot air and that, or same with a woman. You don't want a whore, you want a lady. But I'll tell you one pea-picking thing. You cannot beat love, because when love comes, you know it. I'm telling you, baby, you'll know it. And how soon you hop into bed or how long the courtship is, you will know. Amen.
All right, thank y'all. As we're moving into the next segment, I want you to also keep in mind when we're talking about fear of commitment, how much it may have to do with the fact that the person may not have a fear of commitment. They just don't want to be with you.
That's right.
They may enjoy doing certain things with you and spending a certain amount of time with you, but actually being in a committed relationship where you are the only person may be an issue too. But also, how much of it could be that they may be waiting for somebody else, and you're just there to fill up the time until the other person's available. So this.
Have you had any of your boyfriends or male friends say that about women that they're with?
What do you mean?
That, oh, I'm with Sally, for instance. Oh, Sally's smart, she has a good job.
I mean, I've actually had, one of my boys actually told me a long time ago, he was seeing this woman, and he really, they were just seeing each other because, she was around. And so they were going back and forth. He really didn't want to be with her, but every time, he tried to break up with her, something tragic would happen in her life. So he'd be open enough to bring her back into the fold every now and then. And so at one point, I'm hanging out with him, and she wants to hang around. I'm like, yo, is she back or what? And so he says to me, look, I'm not seeing anybody else. She's here. So as long as she's here and I don't meet anybody else, she's going to stay here. It's like, yo, I'm just going to let her be around. 2 weeks later, he calls me back, yo, guess who's pregnant? And so in that situation, yeah, I've known people who will keep people in their lives just because they don't have anybody else there at that point. I've known women and men to do the same thing. That's an extreme case. But the fact of the matter is, all the time, people will just have somebody there just to have somebody in their life and not taking the, thought, the fact that they may be doing more harm than good just by having somebody around. But we'll get into more in a second. Let's get into the next segment right away.